The boardroom of Sterling Financial was a temple of power. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the Manhattan skyline, the city I had conquered, the empire I had built from nothing. The mahogany table was polished to a mirror shine. The leather chairs were Italian, custom-made. The air was thick with the scent of expensive cologne and the electric hum of men who had made their fortunes by being ruthless. Marcus Sterling, the self-made billionaire who had clawed his way from poverty to the pinnacle of the financial world, sat at the head of the table. I was 35 years old, handsome, wealthy, and utterly bored with my life. My wife, Amelia, was supposed to be at home. She was always at home. She cooked, she cleaned, she managed the household with the quiet efficiency of a woman who had been raised to be a perfect wife. She came from a small town, the daughter of a failed businessman and a schoolteacher. She had no ambition, no drive, no desire to be anything other than a homemaker. I had married her because she was beautiful and compliant, a trophy wife who would never challenge me. But I had grown tired of her. She was boring, predictable. She never wore designer clothes, never attended my galas, never made any demands. She was content to read books and tend her garden. I wanted a woman who was passionate, ambitious, someone who would match my intensity. I wanted someone like my assistant, Vanessa Blackwood. Vanessa was everything Amelia wasn't. She was sharp, ruthless, and exquisitely beautiful. She wore pencil skirts that hugged her curves and heels that clicked like gunshots. She understood the world of high finance, the cutthroat nature of business, the thrill of the deal. She was also the woman I had been having an affair with for the past 2 years. Tonight, I was going to end it, and I was going to divorce Amelia and marry Vanessa. I had already drafted the papers, and I had already transferred our joint assets into my name. Amelia would walk away with nothing. IT was the least she deserved for being such a pathetic excuse for a wife. I drove home to the penthouse, my heart pounding with anticipation. Amelia was in the kitchen, as usual, preparing dinner. She was wearing a simple floral dress, her hair pulled back in a bun. She looked up at me with that same trusting smile that had once charmed me and now made me feel nothing but contempt. Marcus, dinner will be ready in 15 minutes. I made your favorite beef Wellington. I'm not hungry, I said coldly. Sit down. We need to talk. Her smile faltered. She wiped her hands on her apron and sat at the kitchen table. I stood over her, looking down at her with all the contempt I could muster. Amelia, this marriage has been a mistake, I said. I never wanted to marry you. You're a liability, a burden, a constant reminder of my biggest failure. I've met someone else. Someone who actually belongs in my world. I'm filing for divorce. You'll have 72 hours to pack your things and leave. I've already had the lawyers prepare the papers. Sign them, and you can go quietly. Amelia stared at me. Her eyes were wide, but there were no tears, no shock, nothing. Just a strange, unsettling calm. Marcus, she said, her voice quiet but steady, are you sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything, I said. I'll have my assistant wire you $50,000. That's more than generous, considering you contributed nothing to this marriage. Now sign the papers and get out of my sight. She nodded slowly. She reached for the papers, but she didn't sign them. Instead, she looked up at me with an expression I had never seen before. It was cold, calculating, almost amused. Marcus, she said, when my father died, he left me a trust fund. I've never touched it, I didn't need to, but my father was a brilliant man, Marcus. He knew that people like you would try to take advantage of me. So he structured the trust fund with a very specific clause. If my husband ever tried to divorce me, the trust fund would become immediately accessible to me, and the full weight of the Vance family fortune would be used to crush him. I laughed. Your father? The failed businessman? You're lying, Amelia. You don't have a penny to your name. Amelia pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen, and a document appeared. IT was a certified copy of a trust fund agreement, bearing the seal of the Vance Family Trust. The Vance family was old money, one of the wealthiest dynasties in the world. They made my fortune look like pocket change. My father was Marcus Vance, Amelia said. The CEO of Vance Holdings. He made me swear never to tell you because he wanted to see if you would love me for who I am, not for my money. You failed, Marcus. You failed spectacularly. The trust fund is worth $12 billion, and it's all mine, and I can also access the legal resources of the Vance family, which means I can destroy you. My blood turned to ice. I grabbed the phone, but she pulled it away. She stood up, suddenly taller, more imposing. I have documentation of your insider trading, she said. Your embezzlement, your affair with Vanessa Blackwood, your conspiracy to steal proprietary information from your rivals. I have enough evidence to put you in prison for the rest of your life, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you walk away with nothing. She walked to the door. She didn't look back. You have 72 hours to pack your things, Marcus, she said. This is my home now, and you're no longer welcome. The days that followed were a waking nightmare. The press was relentless. Billionaire heir loses everything in bitter divorce. Marcus Sterling's humiliation. Amelia Vance reveals secret fortune. My name was MUD. Wife friends abandoned me. Vanessa Blackwood, my beloved mistress, dropped me like a hot potato the moment she realized I had no money. I tried to fight the divorce, but the courts were merciless. The trust fund agreements were ironclad. I had lost everything. I moved into a tiny studio apartment in a rundown part of town. I couldn't afford my old lifestyle, couldn't even afford a card. I started looking for work, but no one would hire me. My reputation was destroyed, that I was a pariah, a laughingstock. Months passed. I was forced to take a job as a janitor at a high school just to keep the lights on. I scrubbed toilets, mopped floors, cleaned up after children who had no idea who I used to be. I looked in the mirror every morning and saw a hollow shell of a man, a shadow of my former self. But the worst part was seeing Amelia. She was everywhere, on magazine covers, on television, on billboards. She had taken over my company and transformed it into a global powerhouse. She had remarried, a kind, successful man who adored her. She was happy, radiant, thriving. She had everything I had thrown away. One night, I was sitting in a dimly lit bar, nursing a cheap beer, when she walked in. She was with her husband, laughing at something he had said. She saw me across the room. Her expression didn't change. She simply walked toward me. Marcus, she said, it's been a while. Amelia, I said, my voice cracking. I need to talk to you. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was a fool. I was arrogant. And I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. Please, can we talk? I'm begging you. She looked at me with those cold, gray eyes. For a moment, I saw a flicker of something, not pity, not forgiveness, but a quiet finality. Marcus, she said, you made your choice. You chose greed over loyalty. You chose ambition over love. You chose a woman who would never have loved you over a woman who would have given you everything. You don't get to come back now, begging for crumbs. Dear, a cautionary tale, a lesson for other men who think they can treat women like stepping stones. Goodbye, Marcus. She turned and walked away, and I called after her. But she didn't look back, that I sat in the bar, alone, the tears streaming down my face. I had lost everything. MY company, MY money, MY reputation, MY dignity. And the only woman who had ever truly loved me. Years passed, I remained a janitor, stuck in a dead-end life. I never recovered, I never remarried. I spent my nights replaying every moment of my marriage, every cruel word, every dismissive glance. I thought about Amelia's smile, her kindness, her unwavering loyalty, and I realized that I had been the villain all along. I had been given the greatest gift in the world, and I had thrown it away. One day, I was cleaning a classroom at the high school when I saw a familiar face on a news broadcast. IT was Amelia being interviewed about her latest philanthropic project. She was donating millions to build schools in impoverished neighborhoods. She was using my empire to make the world a better place. And I was scrubbing graffiti off a desk. I sank to my knees, sobbing. The janitor's mop clattered to the floor. I felt the weight of my mistakes crushing me. I had been such a fool, such an arrogant, entitled fool, and there was no going back. I looked up at the screen, at Amelia's face, and I whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." But she couldn't hear me, and even if she could, it wouldn't have mattered, because I had destroyed everything we could have had. I had destroyed myself.